What's going on, everyone? In this training highlights video, we're starting with the crossunder. Now the reason I'm including the crossunder here is because I'm going to be talking about a secondary cue I was working on. The main cue will still be featured in the next crossunder mastery episode. So the secondary cue I was working on was pushing my mass displacement, which is getting my point of ground contact as far away as possible from my center of mass. If you're watching closely, you may notice something a little weird about this clip, and it has to do with something I've been experimenting with that may help bridge the gap between my backhand and forehand side, which is turning my stick around, specifically on my weaker forehand side. So essentially, I'm going around the circle on my forehand side as if it was my backhand side. And right away it felt noticeably better, to the point where I legit forgot I was on my weaker side for a second. And you can see that with my mass displacement as well. It's probably the most lean I've ever got crossing under to my right side. For reference, this is my backhand side, which I'm really happy with my mass displacement. I also want to make it clear that my stick is not holding me up. I'm not applying any weight into my stick, it's just hovering on the ice. And when you're working on your mass displacement or you're lean, you definitely do not want your stick holding you up. So my logic for turning my stick over is to use it as a feel drill and try to replicate the feeling with my stick turned the right way. And I have to say, it kind of worked. This is right after, and it still felt really good. I do have to say though, the first few steps didn't feel as good, but that's okay. I mean, I still have plenty of work to do on my crosses, but I definitely feel some improvement. I also did the same on the Panarin Infinity, and same thing, felt much better. I was easily able to get my feet close and shin angle, which if you remember from last week, I wasn't quite getting. I also noticed that I tend to look down on my feet when I'm working on a footwork or ankle cue without the puck. That's definitely something I need to work on and be aware of for next time. Next, I did lateral crosses again, and I also had good improvement there. As many of you pointed out, my top hand crevice positioning was off last week on my forehand side, so my first cue was to tighten that up, and so I did that. The second cue was a much more interesting one. Not one that I would have come up with on my own, but it was to match the outsole pressure in my boot to the edge. So when I'm on my inside edge, make sure the pressure is being applied to the inside of the boot, and vice versa with the outside edge. And you can see that right here with my much improved Y angle on both my inside and outside edges. And overall the movement is feeling much better. I'm not breaking down on the third forehand side rep like last week, and my foot is even pointed in without trying. One thing I noticed that I wasn't sure was good or bad was that the more reps I did, the more I started moving in a backward circle, which initially I thought was bad since I'm doing lateral crosses. I should be moving laterally. But that's just an effect of having good Y angle. If you have good Y angle, you're gonna move in a circle. And since in my case, I was doing the lateral crossunders in order to improve my circle crosses, not necessarily to get really good at lateral crossunders, it wasn't a bad thing. That concludes this week's training highlights video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.